Hey everybody, it's me, the infamous Kiki. Yes, me. I have had a fun, fabulous time on my birthday while I turn. Anyway, I won't tell you how old I turned, but anyway, hi, welcome to my channel. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Definitely comment. We're trying to do a community here. If you need to get a hold of me, you can email me at theinfamouskiki@yahoo.com. The infamous Kiki, just like it's spelled, at yahoo.com. If you'd like to say something more private to me, you don't want to put all your business out there in the comments, I get it, I understand. I think I've solved the problem of audio issues. Before my other videos, you could hear this like, dee, it drove me crazy, but I think it's because when I have my ring light on, for some reason it does that. So I fixed that. I turned the ring light off. I've changed locales. My Star Wars stuff, darling. I've changed locales, darling. So we're in the Star Wars wall, darling. We have a Wookiees, our Yodas, and our evil BB-8s over here, darling. I'm a Star Wars nerd. So anyway, like I said, like, share, subscribe. This is going to be a Kiki Tales Jehovah's Witness edition where I'm telling a fabulous story to you fabulous people on this wonderful Sunday. Sunday, you should be at the Kingdom Hall right now. No, I'm just playing. I'm joking. Okay. I will also provide my email address and links and everything in the description. So just in case you missed something, you can write something down. As for me, who am I? Kiki. I'm a former Jehovah's Witness. I work a regular job. I am a mother. I also own 3 e-commerce business, 3 Etsy shops where I design and do things. I'm also an artist. I have several art gallery showings, and I have an art feature at a gallery in Plano, Texas coming up. It's still in the works. It's still in the pipeline. I have to submit 15 pieces, so I'm in the process of doing 15 pieces because I don't have 15 pieces. So I'm in the process of doing more of that, and I think we're in the works for having me featured at the art gallery. Probably won't be until like October is the next exhibit. So I will be the featured artist, and I'll have more information coming on that. You'll see links in the description of my shops. You're not obligated to buy. Take a look around. That helps the algorithm to my shops. Take a look around here. That helps the algorithm, helps me get out there. What I'm wearing right now, what I have on right now, people, my lovely people, this is a dress. This is an original design. It's a graphic art print. I didn't mean to grab my boobs. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Anyway, cut. Anyway, this is an original design. It's a dress, and most of the time when I do my videos, I'll try to wear what I design. Like I said, I'm a designer. I do clothes. I also do skincare. I don't wear makeup, but anyway, that's neither here or there. I don't wear makeup, so I try to find alternatives because my skin is very itchy and sensitive and crazy. So I do skin and hair care, bath and beauty. That's Falling Star Naturals. Falling Star Artistries is the home decor clothing line, and then I also design jewelry. I'm an anime nerd, so if you're into Demon Slayer and anime, I do custom pieces. I do pieces that just come out of my brain. So that's jewelry about Falling Star. All of it is something about a falling star. You see, I had a star background. Hey. But anyway, let's get into this story today. First of all, let me do some disclaimers. Disclaimers number 1. If you're sensitive to profanity, I do humbly apologize, but I can't do this story. I can't tell this story without the profanity. Sorry. You see the title of the video. You saw the little card. You should have the picture on it. So, sorry if you're offended, or if you have kitties around, they gonna hear some words and be like, "Mommy, what does that word mean?" Don't just put some headphones on and be like, shh. And also my other disclaimer is, if you have any kind of disease or kind of condition, whether it be mentally, physically, psychologically, I do not mean to offend you. I am not here to offend you. Be it for me to offend and talk bad about anybody, because I got my own situations. I mean, I got like heat rashes and eczema like right now. So I'm not gonna be it for me to talk about anyway. I'm not that kind of person. So if it does offend you, I am sorry. If you have this condition, I am sorry. I do not mean to offend. Don't take it as offensive. This is just a funny story, and I thought it was funny then. I think it's funny now. So you ready? Okay, here we go. Uh, Let me tell you the setting. The setting is in my 20s. As if you watch my other videos, please watch my other videos. My story about how I was Jehovah's Witnesses, how I came into it, how I left out of it. So this takes place in my 20s after I was baptized. I was getting to the point where I was kind of like, kind of like over it, kind of going through the motions. I guess you would say I was PMO. I guess I was PMO. I was physically in, mentally out. So I'd kind of zoned out. So I was in my early 20s. I was known as a hall hopper. Like, if you don't ever heard that term, it's a term that some people use, a hall hopper. I like to visit other halls. I've been to the Spanish language kingdom halls. And again, if you don't know what a kingdom hall is, what Jehovah's Witnesses call churches. So I've been to Spanish language ones. I didn't understand any of that. I don't understand Spanish. I just went just because I like to visit. I've been to ones all over Texas, visiting with other friends. And so if anybody wanted to go to a different hall, I'm like, shoot, I'm game. Let's go. Cause I was just always curious to how other congregations do anything. And there is a difference. Like, it's the same religion, but depending on your area in the kingdom hall, whether it's a big city, small city, United States, outside the United States, every kingdom hall has their own like flavor, they have their own like little, cliques and the way the elders do things. The rules are the same, but the people are varied and the region varies. So I like to go to other regions and see how other people do. So I had a sister. She was a really nice sister. Let's call her, I'm going to change the names now, y'all, because I have to change the names. Let's call her Sister Whisper, because Sister Whisper was very prim and proper. She was a Caucasian sister. And when she talked, it was all kind of like, hey, everybody. It's like a whisper. Hi, I'm Sister Whisper. Like, the way she talked was just like, she's a sweet girl. Very naive, I would say. She had never been out in the world. She was born and raised into it. And I guess I was a bit more worldly. If you know what worldly means in Jehovah's Witness, means that you kind of like, you a little wild. I was a little bit more worldly. I wasn't out there doing bad things, breaking rules, but I just, the way I dressed was kind of worldly. And my attitude, because I've been in the world before, well, my jokes were kind of worldly, because I'm always funny. Kiki always got jokes. So she came to me. She has a sister that lived 2 hours away from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I won't say where. And she wanted to go visit her sister, her brother-in-law, and her niece and nephews. Of course, she didn't want to drive 2.5 hours by herself. First of all, it's just boring. It's a boring road trip. Second of all, it's just, as a female, traveling by yourself is, I've done it lots of times, but, it's better to travel with somebody. It's boring. And so I didn't have any kids. I had nothing to do. So she invited me to go visit her family, to go visit this other kingdom about 2 hours away. I'm like, I'm game. Okay, Sunday we go. So the Sunday meeting come. We drive out there, On the way out there, of course, we're having zeal for Jehovah. We're having zeal. We're at the truck stops passing out tracts. Tracts are these little Bible pamphlets that have like, they're thin, they're like maybe like a fold over, and they talk about the Bible or whatever. And then we're, some places we're leaving Watchtower on the wakes at the tables because, we got to have a zeal for Jehovah. You can't just, Jehovah's Witness, you can't just do a road trip. You also have to preach the good news everywhere you go, everywhere. Even at the bathroom of the Flying J. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Flying J. Even at Buc-ee's, you got to preach the good news even at Buc-ee's. So, we're handing out flyers and everything like that as we're headed out there, trying to get in our time. Anyway, so we get there. We get there a little bit early, and her sister hadn't got there yet, and her sister they hadn't got there yet. Her sister Nim hadn't got there yet. So we sit there, and I have my book bag. If you're a Jehovah's Witness, you always got to have a book bag. Come on, people. You always got to have a book bag. You always got to have your Bible and your pamphlets, your tracts, your Watchtower. You got to have it highlight. So I'm getting my stuff together. And then she taps me on the shoulder, because I'm like, okay, we're just waiting for other people to kind of pull up and we can get out. And so she taps me on the shoulder and she's like, Kiki, there's something I need to discuss with you before we go into the Kingdom Hall. And I'm like, oh, okay, okay, all right. Well, what is it? I'm thinking, what? See, at my sister's Kingdom Hall, there's this brother. Okay, um, for intents and purposes, let's call him Brother Carl. There's a Brother Carl, and Brother Carl has some issues. Like he sits in the back, and he has like this nervous tick. He kind of coughs a lot. He may sneeze, and he may say certain things, and he has a condition. And I just don't want you to be alarmed or just to react or say anything, because it'll really embarrass him, and we don't want to stumble him before Jehovah. I'm thinking, what? I'm thinking, okay, so he has emphysema. So I asked her. I'm like, girl, okay, Sister Whisper. So let me get this straight. There's his Brother Carl. He has emphysema. He has like a nervous tick. He has a cough. Like, what is it? Is it both of them? Well, it's a little bit of both. Like, he'll sneeze and cough, and he can't control it. And he takes medication to try to control it. And sometimes he has outbursts. I just don't want us to embarrass him. And then the whole congregation, they're used to it. He's been going to congregation since he was little. And, we just don't want to stumble anybody or embarrass anybody. So, just pretend it's not happening, And we'll just pray for him. And I just want to let you know so you won't be alarmed. I'm like, okay. I said, okay. Deep down inside, I'm a kind, understanding person. So I'm like, okay, I understand. I was like, okay, Sister Whisper, no problem. I'm not going to look. I'm not going to say anything. Like, I don't want anybody to feel some type of way. I definitely didn't want this dude, feeling like we're visitors in the congregation and here we are, like, laughing at him or something. I told her, you know what? No problem. No issue. I'm not even going to look. Girl, I'm just going to keep my head looking at my watchtower and my New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures. I'm just going to pay attention to talk. I said, I'm not trying to make this man feel anything. Fine. So we get into Kingdom Hall. We're talking to her sisters there. And then, just as the meeting, which when I say meeting, for those who aren't Jehovah's Witnesses, meeting is like when the services start, okay? The services start. So right, like 5 minutes before the services start, here walks in Brother Carl. And so Sister Whisper's like, oh, that's Brother Carl over there. And I turn and look. Okay, first of all, this dude was probably like in his 30s. He looked like kind of a cuter, kind of a little cuter version than Mr. Bean. If you know who Rowan Atkinson is and you watch Mr. Bean, I do. I like Brit Combs. Or look it up. He looked like Mr. Bean, and he wasn't married, didn't have any kids. He was raised in the Jehovah's Witness. His father apparently had been an elder, and they had passed. Both his parents had passed, and I think he was an only child. So he was pretty much like truly like alone. And then obviously the congregation, they liked this brother. They he was held in pretty high esteem. They said that sometimes he passed the microphones around or whatever. So I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't think about it. He sat like 4 or 5 seats behind us. So I'm like, okay. I frame a reference. I know who this is. Okay. So the services begin. In the Jehovah's Witness services, I don't know how they do it now, but I'm old school. So, old school sister right here. The first thing they would do was sing a kingdom melody. Now, these kingdom melodies, from the things that I've seen on jw.org, they live and lit now. They got whole video productions. They got a song that was like, be with your wife, with Jehovah. It was like some kind of George Benson like beat. Like they didn't really came up with the kingdom melodies. But when I was there, it was like, it was just, and I would just like lip sync the words. Like I wouldn't like sing the words. I would just lip sync it because I know how to sing. I was in choir for years, but I was like, I ain't singing this shit. So I mean, it was just real. It was lame sauce. Kingdom Melodies were just lame sauce. But then again, like, I'm not the other way, where the evangelicals where they're hooping and hollering and passing out. I don't like that either. So I was like, but you singing the Kingdom Melody and you're like falling asleep. Jehovah, like I'm about to fall asleep with them Kingdom Melodies. But so we get that. Then, brother gets up there and does a talk. The elder gets up there and does a talk or whatever. I don't remember what it was about. So I'm sitting there, and then like 20 minutes go into it, and I'm like thinking, I'm just, trying to keep, reading, looking at my Bible, paying attention. And next thing you know, in the back, I hear, I'm like, oh no, Brother Carl. I'm like, so I kind of freeze, my eyes kind of like, and I'm like, okay, we can do this, Kiki. We can do this. We're not going to turn around. We're not going to look. No. So they're here. And so the brother, I think his talk, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something about like, living your life for Jehovah. Something generic. Y'all know how them talks is. They always, same. Yeah. But, he was like, no. I'm like, oh my God. And so I kind of look around, I always tell you in a situation, the little kids will always give it away. The little kids are like this. So I'm trying not to look at Sister Whisper. I'm trying not to look at her niece and nephews because their little faces are like, and the oldest one, he's trying to be zen. He's just like stare straight ahead. He's probably like 11, 12 years old, so he kind of knew. And so everybody in the congregation was used to this. So, and then I was like, dang, is he coughing? He got some issue. I was like, so then, it'll go quiet a little bit. Then next thing you know, the elder was getting more into the talk, and it was like, and he was like, no. I'm like, what? I was just like, is he yelling no? Like, what is, I'm like, okay. So then I hear the door open, because the Kingdom Halls had doors. And so they have like a door to come in, then they have like a lobby area, then they have a door to come in to where the services are at. So he exits out the door to the lobby. And so I was like, okay. So I could kind of hear him out there like, no, yes, jerk, cat. I mean, just random words are being thrown out. And I'm thinking, oh my Lord, I said to myself, I'm thinking, I know what this is. This guy has Tourette's. I remember me watching a video, a documentary or something on TV about people who had Tourette's. Now, I'm going to post links. There's people who have Tourette's. There's different levels to Tourette's. There's people who just do have nervous facial tics. There's people who cough or clear their throat. There's people that try to do that, to try to control. And there's people who do outbursts. And sometimes it's subliminal. Like it's something that they can't help. Sometimes it's just words that they can't help to say. Sometimes it's stimulated by what environment they're in. Depends on what they say. So I'm thinking, okay, this sounds like Tourette's. So I was like, he doesn't have like a nervous tic or anything. He actually has a condition. So I really felt bad. I was like, oh my God, I feel so bad for him. He's been dealing with this all his life. I'm like, Lord have mercy. He's been coming to this congregation. He has Tourette's. So I'm like, okay, just calm down. So he goes out, he calms down, whatever. He comes back in, and he's still like, you hear, the guy's struggling not to say anything. And so, I'm sitting there, I'm just like, okay. So it'll go quiet for a little bit more. And then, next thing you know, in the back, I hear, bitch. I'm like, oh, I'm like, I look over at Sister Whisper, and she's looking at me, and she's like, I'm just like, okay, just look straight ahead. Just look straight ahead, Kiki. Just okay, Ephesians 13. Ephesians. Damn it, Ephesians. I'm like, pay attention to the scripture, right? Whatever it was. But I was like, okay. So, and then I hear left, right, no. Ass. I'm like, oh, God. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, okay. So he goes back out again. I'm like, okay, Keisha, don't laugh. Like, I am trying not to laugh. Because when have you been in a Kingdom Hall where you are hearing ass in the Kingdom Hall? Like, you may have seen some booty in the Kingdom Hall walking around and underneath a dress. You may see some struggling puppies. But I mean, when do you see there's somebody yelling profanity in Kingdom Hall? Again, the kids, I'm looking around the teenagers and they try not to laugh. They looking down like, and they trying, their parents are like, shh, 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 shh. You know, their parents are like looking at them like, no. So by this time, you know, it's to the mid song. In the middle of the Sunday meeting, I believe there's a mid song where you get up. So I get up, I go to use the bathroom. I had to go use the bathroom. As I go into the bathroom, Brother Carl is out there. I go use the bathroom, come back out. He's talking to an elder and an elder's wife. Okay, so the elder kind of walks off. I guess he had to go do the talk or whatever. The elder kind of walks off. And then the wife is sitting there. Let me tell you about this elder's wife. She was a young, pretty thing. Kind of top heavy. She was buxom. She was curvaceous. It was very noticeable. She wasn't wearing anything appropriate. It's just that, you know, you can't hide them donks and them struggling puppies. You can't hide that. I mean, she just had a curvaceous body, a very attractive sister. And so she's talking to him and she's like, you know, it's going to be okay. Da, 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 da. I guess, you know, they I guess he was friends with the elder and the elder's wife, whatever. So she walks off. So, like 10 minutes later, he sits back down and you hear, no, cat, dog, you know, just random shit. Like, you know, next thing you know, I'm sitting there, you know, if it gets quiet again, I'm sitting there. Next thing you know, I hear, breasts, titties. I'm like, oh my God. By this time, I break character. I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, Brother Carl, did you see Brother Carl? Brother Carl apparently saw them struggling puppies. And then next thing I know, I hear titties, breasts, nipples, ass, neck. I'm like this, like almost die. I'm ready to die, right? Like I'm like by this time I'm praying to Jehovah, please Jehovah, just don't let me look. And so I kind of glanced backwards. I couldn't help but look, you know, and I see him like covering up his mouth and he's looking, and it seemed like the whole congregation just got quiet. You hear a pin drop and you can just see the giggles and the shock of the parents and the kids. And my shock, and I'm looking at Sister Whisper like this, and she's looking at me, and she's just like, she was like, her mouth was open, and I'm like, did he? And I'm like thinking, Brother Carl. So immediately the guy turns red, runs out of the kingdom. I feel bad for him. Runs out. He goes out to the front by that time. And he goes out to the front. I'm still sitting there like, you know, and then the guy, the elder doing the talk is like, I apologize, folks. Could an elder please attend to Brother Carl? So there's a couple of elders that rush out. And I'm just sitting there like, what just, Brother Carl, I mean, you know, and I feel bad for him because it's subliminal. But obviously when he was talking to that sister, some things rose up in his spirit. He felt the spirit rise up. Amen. Rise up in his spirit. He felt it. I don't know what he felt, but he felt something, because apparently he came back saying titties, ass, and dick. Like apparently something happened to poor Brother Carl that just, you know, had Satan the devil just got a hold of him. Just shaking him. So the meeting end, we go outside. Brother Carl is out there talking to a few elders. Sister Whisper is like, oh my goodness, that was interesting. And I said, yeah. And then Sister Whisper, her sister, was like, he's never had an outburst like that before. I don't know what got into him. Maybe he's getting worse. Maybe he needs to take more meds. And I'm sitting there like, I'm like, I said, okay. I said, it's no issue. We don't mind coming visit here again. And I'm thinking, I know what got a hold of Brother Carl. I know. I know. Cute elder's wife got a hold of Brother Carl. I was like, oh no. All I could do is a little stifle a chuckle. And then as we walk out, we see Brother Carl sitting there talking to the elders. And he, like I said, he looked very embarrassed. And I walked past him and I kind of looked like, I looked at him like, okay, Brother Carl, I see you. like I know that it was involuntary what he said, but again, that's what happened. So we got in the car, and then Sister whispers like, "Oh my goodness, like that poor man." I said, "Yeah, that poor man." She's like, "I just, yelling out profanities. I know he can't help it, but it's just, it doesn't happen all the time." And I'm like, "Yeah, it doesn't happen all the time, but it did happen." So, in conclusion, the sexual repression of Jehovah's Witnesses strikes again. And that's my story of my visiting to a Kingdom Hall where a poor brother had Tourette's. And I don't know if he's still there anymore. Like I said, this is 20 years ago, so Brother Carl would probably be like in his 50s now. And hopefully, they've had changes in medication and things like that. So hopefully, Brother Carl, if you're out there, you listen to this, hey, I hope anybody who's suffering from Tourette's, and I'm sure it's embarrassing, but to be in social situations as a witness is awkward anyway. To be a brother where you cannot do sex before marriage, you cannot masturbate, you cannot do anything, think anything sexual. You just have to keep the blinders on. And the idea that maybe your sexual repression may come out in different ways at inappropriate times, especially if you're suffering with something like Tourette's. Again, I don't know a lot about Tourette's. I don't know what was going on there. Just a little bit of things that I've read, but sometimes it can be very subliminal and self-conscious. So, that's my story. That was, like I said, I was one of the times in the Kingdom Hall that I was like, oh my. But anyway, so that's my story. What did you guys think? Have you guys experienced something like that ever before? It's just me. I plan stories. My next story that I will tell won't be so hilariously funny. It will be more poignant and more serious and kind of sad. And it leaves me a what if situation and kind of pondering. So stay tuned for my next story. But that's everybody. Everybody have a great Sunday. Hope you're having a great Sunday. It's beautiful here in Texas. And so, like, share, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. And until next time, people, it's the infamous Kiki. Y'all have a good day.